Hi there, I'm Terry from Lady Boss Traders, and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're interested in how both of us could have turned $125 into approximately 10 grand this year, then stay tuned and I'll show you how I missed it and what I'm doing to not miss it next year. If you haven't been here before, we're all about trading and investing. So make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit the notification button so that you don't miss another trade. Additionally, keep in mind, I am not a financial advisor. Anything here that you learn is just for educational purposes. Please do your own due diligence. This is not financial advice. Now, at the time of this recording, it's the end of December 2023. Now, of all the stocks that you could have invested in, NVIDIA is one of the ones this year that had over a 270% gain. That's insane. That's crazy. And while I invested in it on the stock side, I didn't do it on the option side. So as we go through this process, I'm going to show you how an options trade turned this $125 into over $10,000. Now, if you don't know anything about options, don't worry about it. Don't stress. It's more about the process of not missing the trade, whether you're doing options or futures or something like that, and making sure we don't miss it for the future. So let me bring up my chart. So here I'm showing NVIDIA. Like I said, it did a 270 point change or percentage increase over the year. So what I have marked over here are some key points on buy signals. So let me spread this out just a little bit and explain what I'm looking for. So what I'm looking for is to have some buy signals on the daily, weekly, or monthly time frames that are giving me some confirmation that, hey, maybe it's time for us to buy. Now, I am using a premium indicator suite. That's what you see here called the Cheatcode Algo. And I'll link to that in the bottom. And so how I use this is that I'm looking obviously for buy signals, but I'm looking for some confluence here, meaning I'm looking for it to be an agreement that if it's a buy signal here, that we're going up down here on the swing and that maybe this is green. And so if we take a really quick look on the daily, we kind of see that we are going up and down, but we're still kind of in this range on the daily time frame. But that's okay. So if I go back a little bit further, when this started, we're going to go back to January of the end of the year when it's down here in what we call the reversal bands. That's what these are. And it's down here near the bottom, and we get a buy signal. And technically, this was going up the entire year, hence that 270%. Now, in hindsight, it's easy to look back and say, hey, this was, like such an awesome trade. We should have taken it. But at the time, you're looking for, like I said, confluence amongst your indicators. So if we got a buy down here, let's say we only bought one contract because we weren't really sure. It could have done just like this, gone up a little and maybe come back down. The difference is that I really like to look for the buys or the sells to be in the reversal bands. And that's going to give me a stronger sense, if you will, that we might have a bigger move. Now, since this was all going up, our trend is going up. We would be really looking for the buys and ignoring the sells because these would be retracements. Now, once we got in maybe on the daily time frame, we could check the weekly time frame and say, hey, what is it telling me? Well, if I got in even down here, which would have been back in October, but maybe I waited for the weekly and got in a little bit later or at the beginning of the year, and that would have been even a stronger confirmation. Think of it like how I think of it is it's like a ship, like a speedboat, something small versus like a cruise ship. If it's on a if you're on a speedboat, something really small that can make small turns, it's like being on the daily. It can turn much faster But for a cruise ship to turn, it's going to take a much longer turn before it changes direction. So kind of think of it like that. So that this monthly and weeklies are like big cruise ships trying to make a turn versus a little speedboat trying to make a turn. And so when it says, "Hey, bye," or "We've turned," it's a little bit more definitive, and we've got our marching orders and we're going to go. And you've got more confirmation or more definitive because it can't just a turn on a dime. And so then if I take this up to the monthly, oh my goodness, then we get to see, let me spread this out a little bit. Sorry, not trying to make you dizzy right here, but if we get on the monthly time frame, then it's on like the third. And even though we might have missed this little bit here, by the time we get this buy signal on the third of January of this year, it's like all systems go. And you can see that it's really kind of, I won't say teetered out, but it is definitely sort of hit a point of resistance here. So, how can we, let's look to see first what that looks like in a trade and then what we can do to make sure we don't miss it. So, I'm going to minimize this and bring up Thinkorswim. So let me get this maybe out of the way a little bit. So this is the paper version of Thinkorswim. So you would log into your live account and you want to make sure that you have real-time data. I don't know what the requirements are right now with Thinkorswim, which is now under Schwab, which used to be with TD Ameritrade. The desktop is, the application is free, but they may want you to deposit some money in a real account, even if you don't touch it, so that they'll turn on real data for you so that it's accurate. If not, it's like delayed 15 minutes. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to bring up trade and I'm going to go to NVIDIA. So let me actually pop out of this for a second. Over here in the top right in Thinkorswim is this tab called On Demand. It allows you to go back in time and backtest anything. I forget how long or how far back you can go back, but you can go back a few years depending on the time frame. So consider if I wanted to go back daily, I might can go back further than if I'm picking a time frame of 10 minutes because there's so much information that it has to bring forward. But nevertheless, I can go back, click this on demand option, and I'm going to go back to January 3rd. Now, keep in mind, we aren't even getting the optimum time frame. Remember, we looked at our charts, and that was showing really the better entry was back in October. So we're just going to pick January 3rd. And I've already been through this and tested it. So I'm going to save us both a bunch of time. And I'm going to put in, let's say, 12:29. And I'm going to click go here in a second. Actually, we have to be back there. So let's go back to January. I say 3rd. And I think it's about 12:28, just to give us a little bit of time. So you'll see over here in the top left, it's buffering, meaning it's rolling back and getting all the times and data, the numbers that it was at that time. And because I'm looking at the monthly where I got that buy, that confirmation, I'm going to buy a whole year out. A leap year is what they're, a leap contract is what they call it. And so I'm going to look at January of 2024, which we still haven't even reached. And I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to look to buy a contract. So for those that are option traders, we know up here is the in the money. At the money is right where the current strike price is now, and down here is considered out of the money. So when you're looking at buying the contract, right now I'm just going to make it simple and say I'm looking at the open interest. So I'm looking at the 400 strike and about this time frame, and I know it's about to change because I tested it and I want to shorten this process. But this was up to like over $2 earlier. What I want you to keep in mind is that we don't know exactly where it is, and it might actually get a lower price. So I happen to know that this price does get lower. And so I'm going to click on this buy, and I'm going to change our price to $1.25. Now, I also want you to know that the price does get lower. It's not about getting the absolute best price possible, actually. So it looks like my trade price was $1.23. And I think the price does drop a little bit more than this. We may go negative, but keep in mind we're buying a month, like a whole year out. So don't be so focused on trying to get the absolute bottom or the lowest price. So now what I'm going to do is look at my chart here again that I want to bring back up for you. I could look to see that somewhere in here, even though I got even another buy signal, way up in here is like, let's say, I think it's about November 20th is probably about the first like really high. Some of these were even back in August. So I could look here and say, hey, we can see we are starting to lose some momentum here, some steam. We get our red indicator here that, hey, maybe we could take profit if we only purchased one contract, and maybe we would have got back in or missed this choppy portion. But let's say we kept it till about November 20th. And so I'm going to see we're down 10% here. No big deal because we bought this for the long term. So I'm going to cheat because I'm actually back testing. I can look at my charts, and I'm going to take this all the way to November 20th, and I'm going to have it change the time to opening bell, just about. And you'll see it's calculating and doing everything that it needs to be. It needs to do and calculate where we would be. OMG. So we're over 82. Whoops. Bell just opened over 8,300% in over $10,000. Now that would mean, because it's easy to look at and say, woohoo, in 11 months or something, it just sat here and made $10,000. You can't put that in any bank, $125 and get 10,000 out in 11 months. But if we look at our chart here, we would still have to make sure we have the stamina, the wherewithal, that this moment we see red, we don't panic and get out if the chart isn't telling us to get out. But if we notice is that we went from all the way down here in this reversal zone to all the way up in here in the reversal zone. And so long as you take profit, like even if you don't get every itty bit of the profit, but I feel comfortable, you got out here, I think you'd still be really close. You'd be several thousands of dollars up. So again, the whole point of it was to show what is possible. So how am I not going to avoid missing opportunities like this again? And that's by using TradingView. This is my charting platform of choice. The indicator, again, the cheat code is what I'm using. And then I'm setting alerts. So what I would do is, let's say this was NVIDIA and this was maybe on the daily. So I would come over here, I would click the alert, I would create an alert, and I would have the cheat code buy, and I would set an alert, and I would give this an alert name, like say buy NVIDIA on the daily. And I would do one for sell for NVIDIA for the daily, and same thing for weekly and monthly. And because I know they're on such a high time frame, I don't have to panic and be like, oh my God, I'm out shopping and now I need to rush back home because on the daily it was saying I need to get a buy or it's going to sell or something like that. No, you've got some time. You've got most likely some hours, unless it's just really free falling or just having an explosive day. It takes a lot to have really huge candles like this on the daily and on the weekly. And this gives me a little bit leeway and comfort that just because I got to buy, let's say on this candle, this is kind of a doji, like an indecision candle. I could have waited till the next day still got in the next day and then taken this trade up. So if you want to do long-term trades, great. If you're like, I like days and maybe I'm only going to buy contracts that are for, you know, 3 week, 6 week contracts, then maybe trading on the daily is better. I'm a swing trader. That's what makes me feel more comfortable and less stressed. That I don't have to be so perfect on my entries and I don't have to be so perfect on my exits, and that I will still make money. If you are interested in the cheat code algo and using it to set alerts, check out the link. It's also in the description below. Start setting your alerts on TradingView, which you can get started with for free. That link is also below too. And let's get ready for 2024. And I will see you in the next video.